Hi lovely viewers and welcome to Get Well Stay Well on Revelation TV. As every week you're joined by me, Cyrus Fernando, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by our lovely Felicity. How are you?
Hi there, I'm fine. Absolutely great. And a really interesting program today. It's about multiple sclerosis.
Okay, interesting.
And one of my best friends died of multiple sclerosis, so this was particularly interesting to me to see how this medical doctor actually cures herself with diet and lifestyle.
Wow.
Amazing.
How would you define multiple sclerosis, Felicity?
Well, it's damage, it's chronic degenerative disease, which has affected the central nervous system. So we have myelin sheath that goes down the spinal column, and it covers the nerves. So it really affects everything. It affects our balance, it affects our vision, our movement. And she became more and more disabled, my beloved friend. We've been friends since we were 3 years old. So it was really very sad to see all this going on. And she was in a wheelchair and just got worse and worse. So it's, you know, I am so interested that there is a way of doing it with detox, which of course my friend didn't know about, although she was a nurse.
Oh, wow.
She was an army nurse, actually. She was a Princess Alexandra's Royal Army Nursing Corps sister.
Yes.
And married a major in the army as well. So very much a military family, you know, they did everything by the book. So of course she went to the doctors and they put her on all these drugs, and she just got worse and worse really, which was horrendous. So the thing is, there is such hope, and this is what I love to bring to the viewers, you know, there is great hope when we detox radically and we restore the deficiency of the living enzymes. You know, how many times have I said that on TV? But it's always the same thing. It's the immune system. And when our immune system goes down, this is when we get various different diseases according to really the weakness in our own body. So for me, with breathing problems, it would be my lungs that get affected. With someone else, it might be their digestion.
Right.
But, you know, it's your weakness. It's maybe a genetic thing as well from the family before. But they say that, you know, genetics actually loads the gun, but it's your lifestyle that fires it.
So is multiple sclerosis preventable, more importantly?
Well, if you look after your immune system, yes, it is.
What are the key factors that we need to be looking at, Felicity?
Well, it's really stress, it's toxicity. I think that there's more autoimmune disease now than there's ever been, you know. It was pretty rare in the old days to have multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, autoimmune disease of all different kinds. There's lots of different names for it. But basically it's the body wearing out, and it's the body being worn out prematurely.
I mean, we constantly talk about different topics and subjects, and you do amazing amounts of research for us on this programme. And they all seem to have the underlining theme, and it's health, taking care of our health, taking care of our diet, exercising regularly, try and find less stress in our lives, drink more water. And they all have the same, it's not, shall we say, rocket science, really, isn't it? And I guess if we follow that guideline, then we can stay healthy overall.
Well, the interesting thing is that this is Dr. Mark Hyman, who's actually interviewing Dr. Terry Walls, and they're both medical doctors. They've both been trained to offer a pill for every ill.
Yeah.
And in fact, when it came down to the nitty-gritty, you know, he got well from his terrible stress and memory loss and unable to work as a doctor. And she got well from her MS with natural ways,
Right.
with detoxing the body and building up with the vitamins and the minerals, which is something I'm always talking about, because I just know with the deficiency that we have in the food now, in the soil, that we do have to supplement. And I never believed this before, you know. So it's quite interesting, because I was brought up with orthodox medicine and really believed that that was absolutely right. And over the years, I think we've all had to learn that we go back to God's word, which of course is the basis of my ministry, the God's healing word in Genesis 1:29 and 30, you know, we're there again. And it's the herbs, the fruit, the vegetable seeds, nuts and green plant that do heal us when we rest and when we, you know, try to get these things into our body without too many chemicals on them.
Interesting. Thank you so much for that. So we're going to have a look at our first item today, and this is with Dr. Terry Walls and Dr. Mark Hyman, and they're talking about multiple sclerosis. Let's have a look.
I'm an academic internal medicine doc. In 2000, I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. And being an academic doc, I thought I should treat my disease aggressively, so I sought out the best MS center I could find, the Cleveland Clinic, took the newest drugs, and still within 3 years, my disease had converted to secondary progressive MS.
Which is not good.
Which is not good at all, because that means you're going to go steadily downhill, that functions once lost are gone forever. And so that is when I took mitoxantrone, a form of chemotherapy. Then I took Tysabri, the new biologic agent.
To suppress your immune system.
To suppress my immune system, and I continued to decline. That is when I realized, you know, conventional medicine is not stopping this decline. I was on track to quite potentially becoming bedridden by my illness, potentially demented by my illness. MS-related pain was a big part of my illness, and that was getting more and more difficult to control, so I was worried that refractory pain was going to be a big factor. And so that's when I went back to reading the medical literature and would discover the ancestral health movement. I would discover vitamins and supplements. I would discover the Institute for Functional Medicine, and I would integrate all of that into a comprehensive diet and lifestyle program that not only stopped my decline, which was pretty incredible, but to my amazement and the amazement of my physicians, was associated with a remarkable return of function.
I'm so grateful to all of my amazing friends and colleagues and patients who've joined forces with me to get this important information out to you. On behalf of all of us, I have a sincere hope that this Broken Brain docuseries will bring you the life-altering information you need to take back your health. We know that the information we are sharing can change your life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mark Hyman and Dr. Terry Walls. Very, very interesting. Some of the items that they were discussing there, Felicity.
Absolutely. You know, two doctors who were so ill, really.
Yeah.
She was in a wheelchair at one stage, and she really couldn't get around the hospital. She couldn't function. And so both of them got well when they actually addressed their diet, their lifestyle, when they took stress out of their life, or they learned how to handle the stress, really. And that's what I do on the telephone consultations I do with people, because really I would say 95% of disease is caused by stress.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how the two doctors there, they've changed the way that they've been educated originally. How going forward, going towards the future now, how can we train more and more doctors in natural health? Is that happening already?
Well, it's not happening because Big Pharma make their money out of the drugs. So nobody's actually changing things at the moment. And there are certain people like Patrick Vickers who come from Mexico and do lectures, as we did last year in Southampton. And he's being stopped from doing the lectures at the moment because he's talking about natural health. He's talking about a clinic in Mexico where they do things that they can't do here because they're strapped by Big Pharma. And the Big Pharma, of course, don't make any money if people are well. So people like Terry Walls is so relieved that she's got out of her wheelchair, she's got her functionality back.
Yeah.
She's now riding a bicycle with her children,
Wow.
mountain biking,
Wow.
and she's just so happy. So these doctors have to come out and tell the truth.
Because we look at the different medical research that's been taking place for decades now, and the amount of money that they've spent on research of hundreds of millions, billions, maybe trillions of pounds and dollars, and you think, surely by now, is this ever going to end? Is their research ever going to end? Will they ever find the cure? But obviously, it's very much of a money industry, isn't it?
It is, and having lost my own daughter to cancer, she got it at 18, died at 20, I will come out with the truth about this because it's absolutely shocking that the natural things have been suppressed for so long. So as Christians, I feel we have to come out, and I just give my testimony and say this is what's worked for me. I don't treat anybody. I'm not a medical doctor at all. I'm a doctor of divinity. So I believe God's word is coming out all over the world. And you see, in countries like Sri Lanka and places that you know and I know in Africa, where people live a much more natural diet,
Yes.
they're much healthier.
Less processed foods.
Yes,
Exactly.
and it's people who've had, 3 generations, 4 generations living in the stress and bad weather, perhaps they're not getting the vitamin D that
Well, that's the
we're
point
supposed
there,
to
because
get.
some people suffer from, say, diabetes or cancer, and they all say, but it's hereditary, it's in my genes. My mother suffered from cancer, my mother suffered from diabetes. Surely I'm going to suffer from diabetes myself as well. But this is all preventable, right?
It is preventable, yes. I mean, you might have a propensity towards something because it's in the family, like arthritis maybe, but very often it's from the food that people have eaten in the family. So that tends to pass generation to generation, as we know.
How do we change our diets? If some of the viewers are watching us today and they said, but Felicity, I've had this diet forever for the last 50, 60 years of my life. This is what I'm used to. This is how I was brought up. And now you're asking me to radically change. Where is a good starting point to change?
Well, it all depends on how uncomfortable they are, because that's really what triggers the change. You know, when people are in a lot of pain, then they are prepared to change. So very often, sadly, they have to get to a pretty bad state before they're prepared to listen. And certainly when I had pancreatic cancer, I mean, I was being sick every 5 minutes, so I couldn't eat anything. So, you know, just getting on to the water and juices was not difficult for me. Basically, that's how I survived.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, with people who've got diabetes maybe, and they find it difficult to cut down because they're not too uncomfortable yet. But the thing is, as soon as people do get onto the natural things, or back onto God's diet, basically, you know, the onions, the carrots, it's so inexpensive. And if you grow them yourself, of course, it's virtually free. So more and more people are doing that, and I think that is the way forward, because, you know, the food in the supermarkets has been out a long time, and even if you buy from the organic market, you know, on a Wednesday or a Saturday, you never know how long the food has been picked, but you're much more likely to get something fresh. But if you know, actually pick your own tomatoes and carrots, you know that they've just come out of the soil.
So some of the viewers who may be watching us today and they're suffering from multiple sclerosis, and they're saying, obviously, I want to overcome this. What would you say is step number one?
Well, I would say detox. And, you know, they can go on YouTube. This is a great thing now that people can see exactly what Terry Walls did. She's made lots of YouTubes about it. Good for her. And Mark Hyman's done the same as well. So you detox, you do the colonics, you know, the washout, because that's the quickest way to detox the body. And then you start putting the good things in, drinking lots of water and juices. The distilled water, which I always say, do use a distiller, because the water out of our taps has been chemically treated. And so, and the plastic bottles that we buy have been in the plastic, and so they are, you know, we're now told that that's a carcinogen, because when the heat, say the sunshine, hits the plastic bottles as they're being transported, then, you know, we're going to be, it's not very clever to be drinking that. So,
what is the amount, the quantity? What's the right amount of water we should be drinking?
well, it
ideally?
depends for everybody, of course, and for small children, you know, they're always thirsty. Now, as we get older, people lose that thirst reflex, which is quite interesting. So you have to almost force yourself to drink. So always drink something that's going to be nutritious. So, for instance, my hot honey lemon ginger tea that I make for myself is just basically hot water with some beautiful fresh ginger and some fresh lemon juice and a little bit of honey maybe. Delicious.
What would you say to some of the viewers who are watching and they say, okay, Felicity, we all know coffee's not very good for you. We should be avoiding coffee. But what about tea, just regular tea? And they say, I have a cup of tea, I put a tea bag and I might put a hint of maybe milk in there. What would you say to that?
Well, I wouldn't. I would do the hot honey lemon ginger, much better. I really cannot drink tea now. It is so disgusting. But, you know, as nurses, you were told a cup of sweet tea for shock, you know, as a Red Cross nurse for the patient. So you were poisoning them with the milk and the sugar, of course. You put lots of sugar in. But you know how things have changed. And we're so lucky now to have so much more information. YouTube's out there for people. So there's such hope for people.
And now we're looking at the next generation. We want to be protecting our children. So if we have our viewers maybe today, they're watching and they've got little children at home and they're saying, I want to educate my children from a young age and just basically get them used to eating healthy. What is a good starting point for that?
Well, get them off the sugar. You know, if the thing is, if they don't get addicted to the sugar young, then they're going to have a much healthier life. And the sad thing is that parents are giving sugar treats as a reward, you know, which is so wrong. And so really it's a matter of education. I'd love to get into the sixth form colleges and talk to the sixth formers before they get married and have their own families. You know, I find that the young people are very open to this side, you know, the teenagers, because they've seen this sort of crazy generation that's gone ahead of them, that's got so many of these chronic degenerative diseases.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is we're making the most of social media now, Felicity. Is all these videos are available for us. You showcase some of these videos on our program, Get Well, Stay Well, but there are thousands upon thousands of videos available on the internet, online, and with young people talking about health. And there's nothing better for young people to be interested in something when they see someone else who is young and is talking about it. It makes it interesting for them.
That's right. And I do live Facebook myself now, you know, just with my computer. And I had to get a special decent microphone because my computer's years old, you know, half the letters on the keys aren't there anymore. So anyway, I've now got myself sorted out, and I love it because then I can communicate with people, and I'm reaching a whole new audience as well, who may not be watching Christian TV. So I'm suddenly bringing people in, and you know, they're hearing.
What sorts of feedback are you getting? So you're communicating with people that maybe would never have heard about you
they're
before.
not Christians, and they've never heard about God's healing word and anything about food in the Bible. They've never really thought about that.
Right.
So it's a wonderful evangelical method, you know. God has blessed my socks off really to do this. It's so exciting. So I'm getting people from all over the world. You know, we've got 2 billion on Facebook.
Yes, exactly.
And I know Howard's doing this big time as well. And it's so exciting to see new people coming in, because, you know, I wanted to do it firstly for God's people, obviously. So I wrote my book, God's Healing Word. But now I'm reaching out to new people, which is really, really exciting. And to get little letters and emails from people saying, you know, they've actually got well and they've stayed well. And that's amazing. That's
fantastic. Now we're talking about health and we're talking about our immune system. How important is that?
Absolutely vital. The immune system's so important.
How would you define the immune system? What is the immune system?
Well, the immune system is the whole working of the body, basically. We have the white blood cells, as you know, that fight off the invaders. So things like nitric oxide is really good for building the blood. The life is in the blood, as it says in the Bible, and it's so true. So we go on to building the blood, building the vitamins, the minerals, resting enough, you know, really trying to get out for a walk every day, just walking. You know, people can't go to the gym, they can't afford to go to a gym, but they just go and walk, walk in the fresh air, hopefully away from traffic. You know, otherwise it's not very clever because you're just breathing in all the fumes. And the air quality has gone down so much, as you know, and the ozone layer is being destroyed by the chemicals that they're spraying.
But you say the air isn't very healthy for us, but what choice do we have if we're living in the city, we're working in the city every day, we're walking in the streets, there's cars surrounding, but we don't have the access to go for a walk into the fields and fresh air. What do we do under those circumstances?
Well, people wear masks, you know. People have been wearing masks now for years in Japan and places that are really toxic. And in London now, I mean, the quality of the air is horrendous. The last time I spoke at the Royal Society of Medicine, which, you know, is in Wimpole Street, and the traffic outside is absolutely amazing. There's just gridlock. And of course, there's just fumes everywhere. And I stayed the night there because if you remember, you can stay after I did the talks, and you know, in the night I really could hardly breathe because it was the London air. So we have to have the oxygen machine, and we have to have all these various things, and it ain't what it used to be, because I used to live in London and loved it. You know, it was such fun in the way back in the 60s.
Now we're talking about staying healthy, and we talk often about juicing and blending. In your opinion, what is the difference?
Well, you know, the blend is just a thicker, lovely thing that you can drink. The juice has been juiced through, so it's got a lot of the fibre taken out of it. So actually the blending is really good for us. If people are really not well enough to be able to digest that amount of fibre, then they do the juicing. So that's why Gerson therapy is doing the juices, which are very easy to digest. You get an amazing amount of nutrition into the body very easily, because it takes energy. If you're not well, it takes a lot of energy to actually digest anything. So, but a blender, you know, little NutriBullet is a great way to go.
And of course, you've got smoothies as well.
Yes, you have. You can put your banana in, you can put avocados in and make it into a lovely, creamy, delicious drink. So that's the way a lot of people start.
Well, let's have a look at our next video here. This is a delicious smoothie with kale. Let's have a look at this.
Hey guys! I know how much you all love your smoothies. So today I am really excited to be teaming up once again with Silk to bring you brand new smoothie ideas all summer long. We're calling it our Summer of Smoothies, and trust me, it is going to be delicious. Today, I'm kicking things off with 5 of my favorite green smoothie recipes that taste so yummy, you might forget they're good for you. First up today, I've got my Tropicale smoothie. And this is one of my favorite ways to actually make kale taste good. It all starts with some Silk coconut in my blender. And to that, I'm adding some yummy tropical flavors like banana, pineapple, and mango. I'm also adding a whole lot of kale. Don't worry, I swear it's all gonna work out. I'm gonna finish this off with a good helping of grated ginger. We're gonna blend all of that yumminess up, and you end up with something that might be green, but actually tastes really, really good. Take my word for this.
Absolutely delicious there. And it's when you see young people who are so passionate about staying healthy as well. And that's what young people need to relate to, isn't it?
Absolutely, and something that's got to taste nice as well. You know, people are not going to drink it if it doesn't taste good.
Tell us a little bit about kale, Felicity. Why is that important?
Well, you've got the alpha-linoleic acid in it, and you've got the omega-3 oils, which are wonderful. And you've got lots of vitamins, of course. So kale, you know, kale tastes pretty awful if you have it on its own. But you see, she's put it with other things to make it taste really good.
Go for it.
So it's very clever. So she's put in the, you know, you've got fiber, you've got the vitamin B. Let me read to you all these good things. Vitamin B1, B3, B6, B5, selenium, potassium, fiber. It's really good for the body.
Wow.
But to try and eat kale on its own would not be your idea of fun. So she's very clever, and she's put it with the coconut milk and the bananas. And of course, we know bananas are really good with potassium and lots of vitamins as well. That's a gorgeous thing, you know, because with your NutriBullet, of course, you can just put the banana in with the other things. I always put a bit of lemon as well, because fresh lemon juice makes things taste so much nicer.
Yes.
I love to use apple as well. Mango, of course, is wonderful. So all these things together make a really nice drink. It's done in seconds, Si, as you know. I think you've got one of these blenders as well.
And that's what makes it so interesting and so convenient as well, is a short time that it takes to prepare this lovely, delicious smoothies, juices, blending as well. And it's a fantastic and fun way to get the children involved as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about your grandchildren, Felicity, how they love what they love doing.
Well, you know, they're the delight of my life, because they've grown up with all this juicing, and I'm doing a much better job on my grandchildren than I ever did on my own poor children, because I didn't know this stuff then.
Yeah.
So, the grandchildren just love it, and they love the colours, they love to see all these beautiful things. And of course, they want to get active, they want to get in the kitchen, they want to get nice and messy.
Yeah.
You know, it's such fun. So they're pretty good, actually, and they're cutting up things now with big knives, because he's 9 now, for goodness sake. He could run a household, my grandson. He's such a smart guy, says Granny. And my little granddaughter she's so cute. And she's a year younger, 15 months younger, but she's absolutely up there with him. You know, the second one always bounces, as they do. And then the third one just follows behind. I mean, it's all natural to her that, you know, the older ones are juicing and blending.
Amazing. Now, what would you say would be a transition if some of the parents are watching or grandparents are watching, and the children are used to the fast foods, they're used to the processed foods, they're used to the Coca-Colas, they're used to the sweets with all the sugar. what would you advise to them is a good starting point to transform them into starting to eat healthy?
Well, I would say a day with Granny can be enormous fun because Granny takes you to the kitchen and you're allowed to do things in the kitchen that you're not allowed to do with Mummy.
Yes.
Because Granny's there all the time and Mummy's too busy, you know, she can't be watching all the time. But Granny will sit with them and really teach them. And they absolutely love that. And then they've got something to take home with them and say, look what we made, you know, we made these flapjacks or something, you know, or brownies, healthy brownies, for instance. And then everyone falls in love with that. And the fact that the child has made it makes it seem so much more fun.
Brilliant.
So that it's a thing that they choose to do. They want to do it. The first thing they do when they come in my flat is say, can we make carrot juice? Yeah, it's great.
Now, today's programme has been about multiple sclerosis, Felicity. Just give us your final thoughts and advice to our viewers.
Well, the great news is that Dr. Mark Hyman and Dr. Terry Walls are talking about getting really well and staying well, not on drugs, but actually on changing the lifestyle, diet and lifestyle, and it's inexpensive and it works. And Dr. Terry Walls is a living example of that.
How important is it that we work with our doctors as well?
Well, it's really important that you get a doctor that you can work with who's going to encourage you in all this. So probably the younger doctors who are coming along and are picking up a lot of this, because a lot of this is patient-driven, you know.
Yes.
The patients are going to their doctors and saying, look, I've seen these programs I've watched on YouTube, and, you know, I think, do you know you're your own best doctor? You know when you're stressed out.
Yes.
In fact, and I think your body tells you what you should be doing. My body tells me every now and again I should have a Mars bar, and I love it.
And do you?
I do indeed.
Well done to you. Felicity, you mentioned that you do Facebook Live. How can viewers switch onto your Facebook?
Well, it's just Felicity Corbin-Wheeler, and I've got a Get Well, Stay Well page as well. And I just post all these interesting things that I find. You know, I don't do anything else really but do research. And so I'm on that computer day and night virtually, sometimes about 20 hours.
Wow.
And I wake up so enthusiastic to get on with the next program.
Excellent.
And, you know, Gina comes in the morning and I say, oh, you know, just what I've seen now, it's so exciting.
Well
and
done.
Great fun.
Felicity, thank you so much indeed for joining us on today's programme. Thank you also to our lovely viewers as well. If today's programme's been interesting or you want to watch the whole series of Get Well, Stay Well, then please do log on to our website, www.revelationtv.com. And we're also on YouTube. Just go onto YouTube and type Revelation TV. Thank you so much, viewers. Take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye-bye.